Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome on in. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope your weekend has started out well. Hope you're all healthy, happy, and all of those things. Welcome on in, everybody. So we're gonna try to pick up where I left off last week with the game dev stuff, trying to make progress with the Vulkan tutorial that I'm going through, while still at the same time trying to keep things straight in my brain as we do this. So we'll see. I think, let's hope this is still working. Yeah, okay. So this this is what I was trying to show off last week when the camera just froze up on me. But this is what I'm trying to model, I think. And then what I'd like to be able to do is, I mean, it's time for me, like, we have this common model now. It's time for me to sort of like pull the common things into a common area and then start to redo, not only redo the OpenGL stuff to use the common area. I'm not going to worry about the OpenGL stuff right now because I want to get the Vulkan stuff working, and once I get that working, then I can start to see how to sort of tie in the OpenGL stuff and whatnot with that. But I figure it's time to start to establish a common area at least. The tricky part, though, and this is where I was struggling last week, is how to take what is written in the example here and translate it into the way I've done things and not go insane in the process. So that's the tricky part right now. So we've got here, so this transform models is really the only thing left of this Vulkan model class I need to do, right? So transform models. So what did I call this class? I called it Vulkan Mesh, which I think is more appropriate. Although calling the method transform models probably not correct, but at this point I need to keep some kind of commonality between what's written here and what I'm doing, just so that, because as we go into the next chapter and it builds upon this, I need to know how these things map together. So we'll just deal with methods not being named what I would ideally want them to be named for the moment. Let's see here. So what this is doing is setting up a command pool. Well, it's setting up a command. It's getting a command pool passed into it, and then it's creating all the buffers it needs, and then recording those commands for the GPU so that the buffers will get copied over to GPU memory. Taking a model data list. See, the thing, and this is what annoys me, is that these are static, which annoys me to no end because it's you have an object here, why not use the object? Um, model data list. Vulkan mesh list. So what does the model data list do? So we're creating Vulkan model objects. So it's model data, get mesh data. So it's got the mesh data in it. This annoys me. So I've got the mesh in here, which is being passed in. Which has all of that. Material. Now it could be a list of meshes. As was pointed out, it could be a list of meshes because you could have like animation stuff going on. I don't have any animation stuff yet. I will though. So the question is, do I handle that now or do I wait until I need it? And I'm kind of, just for simplicity's sake, because I'm still learning stuff, I'm kind of leaning towards putting that off until I need it. Just so I can save some brain space here. Although it's going to be, I mean, doing it that way right now is actually not going to be terrible because it'll just be a list and then I can just take the hit right now and not worry about it. Although it really should be, instead of mesh, it should be taking model, I think. Right? That's how I had it, right? Because I feel like if it takes a list of models, am I doing that right? Like it should be, Yeah, I think so. I mean, you'd have the downfall of that would be if I didn't, by not having a list of meshes here, would be that I'd have several models that are ultimately the same model but just different animations of that model, which may not be a big deal because the meshes will be theoretically different enough that you would want that. Yeah. Maybe. You know what? I guess it doesn't hurt to just have a list of meshes here in model. And then, because what does mesh do? Yeah. Because I have a list of materials. So, and each material has just one texture name. Yeah, let's do that. I'll make this a list here. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. Right, and then this will be. Where the heck was I? And then I think this. This probably makes more sense now as Vulkan model, which is what they call it here. Because it'll just take a model in instead of. Because they've got a record Vulkan mesh, which I don't. I think that's why I called this Vulkan mesh, because that just is. Yeah, I guess then I do have to convert this to say this is a model. This is a model with meshes in it. And each of those meshes has this Vulkan mesh record, which I'm not thrilled about. Because to me, what I'm not thrilled about with it is that, to me, it feels like the create index buffers and the create vertex buffers should be part of the Vulkan mesh class. Right, and then when you create that, because how do we create that right now? You get the mesh data that was loaded from the file into the model data, and then just send that shit into here, and then that will make the appropriate buffers. Right, that'll make these two, the create indices buffers and create vertex buffers, from the data that you sent in once. And we have a public method record transfer command, which would be, so you get the vertex and the index buffers. Record transfer command. Where would that go then? If I move these around, where does that go? Because it seems like that would be in there as well. This is why I call it Vulkan mesh, right? I think. GPU buffers. So command pool. So command buffer, command pool. Transform models. That's the other thing that's throwing me off, is that they've named this transform models plural, but this is just Vulkan model singular. So that's also throwing me off the way they have this. Because really it should be transform this model, basically, or transform model singular. That's why I renamed it Vulkan Mesh. Vulkan Mesh, do that. Vulkan Mesh, Vulkan Model, Vulkan Mesh List. So I think what I want to do think about this. Think about this. Think about this. All right. Hear me out. This is what I think I want to do. So I think I want to get rid of mesh here altogether. We keep the ID vertex buffer, index buffer, right? It's coming down here. Vertex buffer, index buffer, and number of indices. I guess. I don't know why. Does that ever change? I mean, it obviously it changes, but does that actually, like, don't we know that ahead of time? Aren't we just pulling that off of how many are in the list? Here, let me see. Yeah, we're just doing a mesh data indices length. Yeah. It's important. It's fine. Yeah, number of indices. So we don't need, I guess we don't need an ID on it then. The ID would be on the model. Okay. But they have mesh data. How do they do the mesh data? So they've got model data dot mesh data indices. Vertex buffers. And then get mesh data list. Okay. 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 So see if this makes sense. They do have multiple Vulkan meshes. They're putting them into a list. And they're doing them one at a time. I'm trying to tease these away from one another because this is not, the way this is written, in my opinion, is not the way you write it in an object-oriented language, right? This is how you write it in a functional language. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's making my brain hurt when I look at it because it's not, it feels like it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It feels like it is mixing concerns, right? Like it feels like the Vulkan model is doing model stuff and mesh stuff, even though those things are kind of different, or at least modeled differently. And what I'm trying to do is pull them apart from one another and not drive myself insane in the process. Which might be a little too late for that, but we'll see. So, okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do, because that's a model ID. So I'm going to get rid of ID here for a second. I'm going to get rid of mesh, because there's no reason for me to keep the mesh around, the mesh. Is there a reason for me to keep the mesh object around? I guess I could keep it around. Is it really hurting anything keeping it around? I mean, it's taking more memory, but it also means I'm not reloading it from disk. So maybe I'll leave that around just for, but it would be it's not just one mesh, it's a list of meshes, right? So I really want the model, right? So back me. I really want to reference to the model because it's got the list of meshes in it. But the question becomes, is that even important at this point? Because here's the other thing I can see running into. Or at least here's the thing that I could see in the future. Like in the future, I can see there being a cache of model data loaded in from disk and just kind of kept in a cache somewhere, like we'll say a least recently used cache, just for kicks and giggles. So you would cache that away, but then the Vulkan model would be, for all intents and purposes, temporary. In other words, you would create a Vulkan model for the things that are in the current scene, or at least things that are visible or potentially visible. You would get that copied over, create it and copied over to GPU memory so that it's ready to have operations done on it. And then when that leaves the scene, or leaves the possibility of things that could enter the scene, that would probably go away and be garbage collected, or a candidate for garbage collection. But the cache of the model data loaded from disk might still hang around for a little while in case it's something that can re-emerge into the scene, like respawn into the scene, say. So you're not taking the hit of reloading it from the disk, theoretically. You're just reloading it into memory, which I think makes sense, because you don't want, the amount of GPU memory you have is far more limited than your main memory, so you don't really want things hanging around in GPU memory that you don't immediately need, particularly as your scenes get more complicated, I would imagine. You know, I'm talking out of my ass here, so apologies on that. So given that, it would make sense to me to have, like, having a Vulkan model class makes sense insofar that its entire job is to load all of the meshes for a particular model into, and preparing it for GPU injection. The one thing that's, I mean, there's a couple things giving me a pause there, but one of the things that's kind of, I'm not sure about, it's my understanding, and this is where my understanding might be wrong, it's my understanding that meshes are potentially frames of animation in a 3D model. So if I were to think about it, say logically, say, we're working on a space game here. To me, the frames of animation would be, say, landing gear, where you have a mesh of the model with the landing gear up, you have a mesh of the model with the landing gear fully fully extended, and then one with, and probably maybe some keyframe in between, say. And then you just do, I guess, IK, inverse kinematics, to do the frames in between. I have no idea how any of that works. I'm throwing buzzwords out there that I've heard in the past. So the question there becomes, you're probably spending more time with the landing gear retracted than you are with it extended. So is it economical to keep throwing all of those frames of animation into the GPU when they're not being used? Or is it more economical to just have a separate model instance of all of those things? Because I think the way I was doing it was I was having a model with just one mesh, and if that model had multiple meshes, it would be multiple models. But does that actually make sense in the grand scheme of things? Because on the one hand, it makes sense from a memory perspective to not load all those things. But on the other hand, if you were to have something that is used more often, like say a ship had a rotating satellite dish on it, radar dish on it, and that's always rotating, and those are frames of animation, or essentially separate meshes. Wouldn't it then make more sense to keep all of those in memory so that you can cycle, in GPU memory, so you can cycle between them without another major load? So I don't know exactly where to land on that. I think I'm, for the sake of simplicity, and I say that with all the irony in the world, I think I'm going to just have it keep all those meshes together under one model, and we'll just shoot all of them into the GPU, even if they're not active. And then if it becomes necessary in the future to figure something out, then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I think. Which always sucks to say when you're a developer. It's like, yeah, we'll deal with that in the future. Is always that one of those things that you hate to say, but at the same time, nothing gets done if you try to tackle everything right away. You end up in the weeds and not really making any progress, or like I am right now, just talking myself in circles. Which I'm really good at. They call me Coding Circle Boy. So Lucky frack. So this doesn't need a mesh. I think this just needs what they had there, which is private int number of indices. Because we'll have a Vulkan model class with a reference to the model data in it. A reference to... Do I even need a reference to the model data in it? I guess I don't need a reference to the model data even in that. I just need a list of the Vulkan meshes that have been built up. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm going around in circles. I've gone all the way out here, and then I've come all the way back to basically what they had here, except I'm breaking it into two classes because I don't like the way they've done it. Well, I don't like the cross-cutting concerns that they have here. Cross-cutting concerns? Whatever is the correct terminology. English is not, my English is not doing well today. Doing better than it's done in the past, but not by much. So that would mean this constructor doesn't need jack and or shit in it. So I can just get rid of that. Because it's going to create buffers. Actually, I wonder if it would make... Well, we might end up putting a constructor in there anyway, because I think it might make sense to have the constructor... No, maybe not. Well, we'll see. Let's see what we've got here first. Because I don't particularly like the constructor calling a bunch of nonsense. I know they seem to love having constructors do a bunch of nonsense. I don't particularly like it because I'm coming from a... In the full stack dev world, we use a lot of things like... We use frameworks like Spring, usually, that on server startup basically go through and hydrate a whole bunch, for want of a better term, hydrate a whole bunch of objects by calling their constructors and stuff, and then keep them around as singletons. And so I naturally am adverse to having anything that isn't absolutely necessary happen in a constructor, because it just increases your server startup time, and worse yet, if you have something in there that like has to call on a third party or something like that, you know, with a REST call or something like that, you definitely don't want that happening on your server startup, because you could basically pause the entire deployment of your war file while it sits there waiting for some third party to respond to it. Oh, I see why I put mesh there, because these guys are doing get indices. Sure, okay, let's... Alright, I'm fine with that. Let's put mesh back there. Do I need... Does mesh have... put a get number of indices on it. Like I don't know why. Yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, so that's why I put mesh there. Okay, never mind. Never mind. I did have a plan at some point there. So we don't need an ID, but we do need a mesh there. So we can pass the mesh in, the mesh data in. And I can get rid of that. So that transfer buffers records. So then transform models. Transform models. It's not really transform models. It's going to be. We gotta name this something that makes sense. This is gonna be. I'll just say prepare mesh, maybe. Hey, Duris, come on. Every time I see you, you get smaller and smaller. I keep making the camera smaller and smaller, because I hate blocking things on the screen. But yeah. Welcome on in. How are you doing today? Can't read any of that anyway. Well, it's funny. It's gotten to the point where I'm actually testing out something where next couple weeks for games and stuff, unless it's a game where there's not a whole lot going on, like say Elite Dangerous or something like that, I am turning off the camera altogether and just letting the game be the game. Because I always go back and forth with whether or not the camera's even necessary. But when it's something that requires like a mild amount of me trying to be actually entertaining, where the game itself is not necessarily entertaining in and of its own, or it's something like this where there's not much else to look at, then yeah. No cam scanless. Clearly you need a VTuber on. Well, I mean, nowadays I all I have to really do is I swear one of these days I'll just take 2 screenshots, one with my mouth closed and one with my mouth open, and I'll just do whatever the VTubers do to flip between those 2 images, webcam images, or even like get like a South Park thing going. Mouth just goes up and down. Paper mache thing. It just, I swear no one will know the difference. Like the Terrence and Phillip version of me. Get some pointers from Cornet. Yeah, I'm waiting for Cornet to get back to some streaming. Waiting to see what he does. Be a PNG tuber. Yep. Because I was gonna like, if he got back to new avatar. Yeah, I saw his new avatar. I saw him send that out. But yeah, because I was gonna invite him over to Moonbeam to stream, but I haven't seen him get back to streaming yet, so I didn't want to like bother him if he wasn't ready. You know. Did it actually launch? It's in open beta now, So you can actually go over there and create an account, and there's people streaming. They're making lots of changes. They're making lots of changes along the way, and they're pretty good changes. They've actually got more in place than you would expect right now. Like, I mean, they still have a lot to do when it comes to the chat rooms and stuff, but they're working on it. And, you know, every week we're getting something. But yeah, you can actually sign up now and register and all that stuff, which is good. And then they decided that they decided to do a combination of public and private realms. So there's now like four public realms where you can just, as soon as you sign up, you can just stream and participate in those realms without having to join up or be invited or anything like that to the realms. You can just go right in there and do your thing and stream to them and all that stuff. But they don't have any chat rooms or anything like that. They do have people who have signed up for moderating them, but they don't have any like chat rooms or stuff, which I think is good. And then the private realms have like the chat room, different stuff, you know, the more Discord like stuff going on. And then they just put a post up asking about voice channels, so that'll be huge if they can get voice channels going. You know, yeah, they're keeping that to the private, right? Yeah, I think they definitely didn't have any plans to do like the public realms like they're doing, but I think they're definitely making changes to things as they go along, to their plans as they go along. And I think they're good changes. There's a worry that they'll dilute the difference between private and public realms, and I'm not entirely, you know, I think, yeah, it really depends. You know, I don't want there to be that much of a difference between private and public realms, because I don't want them to set up a haves and have-nots situation like we have on other platforms. But that also depends on, like, they do want to make it so that you can eventually just create private realms, and I imagine they'll lock that behind like Moonstone Plus or whatever, the like subscription thing, maybe, which they haven't fully rolled out yet. So, like, they have Moonstones and stuff, and you can buy them and all that stuff, but I don't think they've rolled out the Moonstone Plus thing yet. At least not in any appreciable way. But I would imagine you'd probably need that in order to have a private one, which might be fair. That might be fair, depending on the price of it. It'd be no better than the separation Twitch created between partners and no partners. Yeah, exactly. And that's, I just, you know, I'm okay with there being, a meaningful difference, but not a difference that causes inequality, I guess, is what I'm going at. Like, you could still, like, nothing that affects a stream, the ability to stream, or the ability to just chat, but more like, well, if you want to have like different chat rooms, you do this kind of thing. I can kind of get behind. Or if you want to have voice chat, do this thing. Although that one might be a little bit rougher, but I can still see that being a thing, because I can't imagine them rolling out voice chat to public realms, because that would be an absolute nightmare to moderate. So that one I can kind of see being like a private realm thing only. It's moonbeam.stream is their main page. Yeah. But yeah, and they just put up a like they have like the beginnings of a FAQ up there now too, showing off some of the features and things. So it's interesting. I just hope that they manage to get the backing that they need. What I was talking to Corey about this the other day. What strikes me and what I'm actually finding a little bit of comfort in. Yeah, it's pretty easy to get on the front page there right now. But what I was talking to Corey about was that I'm actually okay with their growth being a lot slower than we've seen on other new startups. Like when Livespace and Glimish and all those started, like there was a huge influx of people, more than the site could handle and all that stuff. And they all kind of followed a predictable trend where there was just like a ton of people clamoring for what I call streaming tourists, right? They came in, they're like, well, we want this and that, and we want, this thing, we want that thing, and oh, you don't have this thing, we need that thing, and then, they stream for like a week or two, maybe even a month on the service, and then they were gone again, right? In the meantime, you're getting all these features added that aren't really the person that asked for them is no longer there, whereas with these guys, they've been a lot slower to grow. I think they're just under 2,000 people have made accounts over there, and that for some reason it feels a little bit more manageable. Like and even despite that, they've already got like clips, they've already got VODs, they've got a mobile app that it's in beta for both iOS and Android, and you know what I mean? Like they're actually ahead of the curve on a lot of things. They're behind on like the chat rooms and stuff don't really have very good formatting and stuff, but that can come later, MySpace really took off, but it spiraled into the same posturing VIP nonsense a lot of other pushes. Yeah. They fail and go back to their usual haunts using the alternative as just a means to promote themselves elsewhere. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think so far, I mean, it's not to say it won't happen with Moonbeam, but so far they've been able to kind of slowly just sort of build up on what they've got. Without having that huge clamor of nonsense, which has been pretty good, I think, overall. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm like, part of me is like, I want to promote them more, and the other part of me is like, well, it's a hard sell right now. You know what I mean? It's like, do I promote it and then only for them to just disappear like everyone else has, or like it's such a hard deal to do, right? Because it's like you just don't know if they're going to be around long enough, and then you feel like an ass because you got everybody to switch over, and then it disappears on you. And yeah, Livespace. I mean, I actually have my Livespace cup right now. I'm using. Yeah, I really like the Livespace. and it still hurts that they just couldn't get funding. And Moonbeam, from what I understand, I mean, they're all crowdfunded, obviously. But from what I understand, since they've embraced AI a little bit more, they may have a better path towards some kind of funding, but they're definitely going to need some kind of funding at some point. But then again, they're smaller, so maybe they can live off of like profits along the way. It's expensive to push bits, yeah. And they're using Amazon IVS right now for their back end, so that ain't exactly cheap either. But it has enabled them to get something up and running relatively quickly. So I assume they're using some kind of Amazon stuff for their AI moderation too, probably. But they are, at the very least, they are trying to be ethical in their AI usage. Like, they're not training their AI models on user data and stuff like that. So there's that, at least. But who knows? I hope for the best. As always, I hope for the best. But I'm also like, and I wish, like, I know both Shin and I backed them at a level where we got private realms, and I just wanted to back them. I didn't necessarily want the private realm. I just wanted to back them. And my thought initially was, when Shin said that he also backed at the same level, was like, okay, I'm just going to help Shin out with his realm, and just not worry about mine. But, you know, the best laid plans, right? Now I'm stuck trying to figure out how to run a realm when I'm just not very good at community anything. You know? So it's just like, it's like, I guess I'll just see what I can do. I mean, if you would like to help me, Duras, I would be more than willing to let you help. I don't know what you want to do. I don't know if you want to be a moderator or something else on there. I'd be more than willing to let you do it. I'm not I'm about as socially clueless as a man could ever be. Let's put it that way. Like, like, Corey and I are streaming to that realm, and potentially I have another streamer who might be interested in streaming there. But as far as like getting more artists, more musicians, more gamers, more coders on that realm to stream, like, I have no idea. And I'm trying to gather together people who are relatively like-minded, you know what I mean? Not drama queens. And that's the other whole thing, is like, how do you audition these people? You know what I mean? You're a total drama queen. Yeah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that at all. There's a difference between consuming drama and creating drama. And if all you do is consume drama, I'm fine with it. If you create drama, that's where we have a difference of opinion. Yeah, if you don't have, if you can't find tea, spilling tea everywhere. If you can't find your credentials, Doris, I can invite you, and the invite link will give you a sign up. It's just you can't if you already have a sign up. Like what we found out is if you already have a user account and you use the invite link, it won't let you sign up again with that account because you already have one there. But if you whatever, if you don't have one, you can't find it, whatever, you can try the invite link. and see what happens. Huh. But how's everything with you anyway? It's been a while. You've been getting mails from them ever since? Okay, well then you can probably just say forgot password or whatever. Because your account name is most likely your email address. In fact, I think you can use either your email address or whatever username you picked. So to log in. So yeah. So what are we doing here? So we're doing Vulkan model. Consumed by work, life, getting old, the usual. I hear you. And unfortunately, I feel you on that one, too. I've been thankfully, things have been getting better for me health-wise. Like so what was it, May of last year, I think, I got diagnosed with sleep apnea, which I think I've had probably most of my life, and it just hasn't gotten bad until recently. And so I have a CPAP machine, and that has freaking changed my life, man. Like I'm sleeping better now than I've slept since a teenager. Which has been great. That's helped out a lot. Do I have one with all the apps? It has a web interface, and that's about it. Yeah. So about the weight loss thing. So my pulmonary doctor said, like lose 20% of your weight and things will improve. So I did, and things have improved. I still need it, but it's improved things a lot. And I'm still trying to lose more. So like I was like over the pandemic, I put on 35 pounds. So I was like, at my heaviest last year, I was 365. And I'm down to 320 right now. And that's helped out a lot. And then I have to figure out, we're still in the process of figuring out what's up with my legs always being swollen, but losing weight has helped those as well. So I'm hoping maybe that's the key, is just like lose another 100 pounds and maybe my legs will go back to normal too. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it up. I bought a treadmill last year, and like July of last year I got a treadmill, and I've been using that every day. mostly every day. I've taken a few days off the last couple of weeks just because my my feet have been hurting a little bit, but doing that all the time. Yeah, don't sit for long periods. Well, and it's not even like streaming that is causing it. It's working from home. Believe it or not, as much as I love working from home, it's caused me to sit at this desk for long periods of time, and this is a standing, like a motorized standing sitting desk. So I've been trying to make sure, like, at least twice a day that I stand up and stay standing for like a half an hour or so, and I've got like a pad to stand on and stuff, just to kind of get things working, and also like walking around the house too and things like that. Which one did I get? That's a good question. What is the name of this thing? I got this actually back like right at the beginning of COVID, when I started working from home. I can look up the name right now. What was the name of this? It is called... I searched for desk. Oh, here it is. It's called Apex Desk. Apex Desk K Series Adjustable Desk Legs. So what it is it actually just gives you the legs and the top of the desk, and then you buy the desk surface, whatever desk surface you want, for it. So let me see if I can, let me grab this link. Is this, I wonder if that's a good link to grab. There we go. I'll just send you the basic link here. So this is all their lineup there. But yeah, and it's worked pretty good. It's number one, it's heavy as hell. It's heavy as hell. It's like, I want to say it's like 60 pounds or something when you go to set it up. And you know, I did set it up myself, but it was a little dicey. trying to do it myself. But so it's heavy, but the only other problem I have with it is that it is pretty loud when it transitions. I think it's not supposed to be that loud, but I also have a lot of stuff on the desk, so it might be that I'm like near the weight limit of it. But it's pretty loud when you transition it. But it's got programmatic height memory, so you can have it save what heights you want it to be at, and then you just double tap whatever number you want, and it'll move to up or down depending on what it needs to do to get to that height for you. So that makes it pretty convenient. But it also, I mean, I have a lot, like I've got 4 monitors on my desk here, and I've got a bunch of other things, so it's got a pretty decent weight limit on it. Like, you can put quite a bit of stuff there. The trick is put the desk up at its highest height when you go to plug things in to make sure you have enough cord length. That's the only thing is like whenever I get something new for here, I got to put the desk up as high as I can go and make sure I have enough cord so I'm not pulling things out of sockets. That's the only other problem with it. Get your full range of comfort, yeah. So I've got like, you know, yeah, I can't just do like a 6-foot USB cable. I gotta do like a 10-foot or a 12-foot USB cable, or I've got USB extension cables I bought and stuff. So, yeah. Sign up only for the newsletters at that time. Yeah, you had to actually throw money at them to make the account. Ah, okay. So you don't have an actual account. You just signed up for email. Okay. Well, now you can actually make a real account on there. Yeah, I'll throw a link. Yeah, go for it. I'll throw you a invite. Now, do you want to be do you want to be well, okay, here's the thing. I can invite you as just a member if you just want to be a member, or do you want to be do you want moderator permissions? Because I'm willing to give you mod permissions if you want. And it doesn't you can decide later. I can always promote you later. Stream as well. Oh, you might want to stream as well? Okay, that's fine by me. So I will give you we do invitations, and I'll delete that one because we didn't need that one. Generate invite link, one invite, and role. I'll give you a moderator. Okay, copy that. And there you go. Check your Discord. There's a link you can use. Yep. There you go. And that should give you like a sign up sheet and all that stuff. And then you'll be automatically joined with the realm, and you should have moderator permissions. Hopefully, if I did that right. I think I did it right. You won't have you won't immediately have streamer permissions because streamer permissions are a little bit different, but I can give those to you if you want them in the future. It's up to you. It's the wrong. I turned the monitor off. I chose the wrong source, and now I'm pushing the wrong buttons. This monitor takes... I love this monitor, but it takes so freaking long to switch sources and turn on or off, and I don't know what the hell it's doing. Is it calculating ballistic missile trajectories, or what the hell? I don't know. I'll take all the powers, all of them. All of them! Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's where we're at. They apparently have... So, a couple days out of the week they do live streams. They do tech support live streams where they do some live tech support and stuff on that on Moonbeam. And he mentioned the other day that they have an OBS. Now he was saying OBS plugin. I don't know if it's an actual plugin or something else. I think it's because it sounded like more like a browser source. But they had a way to get the chat, the Moonbeam chat, into OBS. So I have to figure out what that is, because he said he was going to send an email about it, but then I haven't seen an email yet. So I have to. I didn't see it on their FAQ, so I'll have to see what that's all about, because I would like to get that fully integrated if I can. Yep, I see you on the Moonbeam chat now. And the Pixis AI has deemed you mundane, so there you go. Has deemed your chat message as mundane. Of all this stuff, that's the one thing that kind of I wish we could turn off on a per stream basis, because on the one hand, I get the whole notion of like having a sentiment, have the AI determine what the sentiment of a chat message is, but on the other hand, it's so hard even for a well-adjusted human being to understand the context of a text message, that muddying the water further with an AI that's even worse at it, and I mean that lovingly, just seems like a bad idea. Yeah, whatever. Like rainbows and sparkles. Picks up on connotations well. It is actually getting smarter as it gets more chat messages. Now apparently, and one of the big complaints I had was like, right now it only understands it doesn't have the full context, right? Because it's only looking at the text conversations. It's not taking into account what the streamer's talking about. So a lot of times it'll say like someone's being sarcastic, when it's like, well, no, they're actually just answering a question that the streamer had, right? Well, apparently they're working on a way to pipe the audio from your stream through the AI so that it can have more context for what's going on. So that'll be interesting. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I would like that just from the perspective of like getting closed captioning and stuff. But at the same time, like if it can then be used to put the chat messages in context and make it more accurate with its sentiment, then that might be it. That might be an okay thing. So they just rolled out 1080p this week, last weekend. So I should be at 1080p 60. Looks a little blurry, fuzzy. Yeah, I've noticed that with other streams too. I think they're still working on that. But I should be at 1080p 60. But I'm also 5500 BPS, kbps. They apparently on there the maximum is 8500. Like I'm streaming to them at the same thing that I do Twitch, which is 55. So I might rejigger my stuff and stream to them at 85 and see if that makes things a little bit clearer. But I have a feeling some of that is just their video players need some work, you know? So we'll see. We'll see on that. There's a couple things on there. I was looking at their site the other day because I wanted to see if I could integrate the chat from there in my chatbot thing. Because they don't have an API, an official API yet. And it looks like every time you do a chat message over there, it's sending a crap ton of data down to the browser, like a whole lot of extra data. So I am assuming that there's a lot of work that they're still trying to do around the streaming page there. But that said, I mean, it's decent enough right now. It's maybe not ideal, but hoping they can work on the clarity there. And it looks like they're doing HLS stuff. So just like on YouTube, you can rewind the stream and stuff. I think it's just there's some kind of, they just need to kind of work on the quality of it. Some kind of artifacting or just weird compression loss. Yeah. Sitting here pulling. It's taking the Gen Z approach of assuming a winky face is flirting. Well, I mean, to be fair, you did the winky face and you said sending or pulling, so I mean, there could be a connotation under the surface there. Like, I mean, give the AI something else to work with. Though I do love that your next comment, it said misunderstood. So you know, it's trying. Back in my day, a winky face just meant haha. Same here. Same here. But I mean, I think it was the combination of the winky face and the words. Oh, it's funny. It is funny to see these things. Trying to learn as they go. It was just queuing off, assuming. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, you can kind of, as you chat more in there, you can kind of see where it's pulling, how it's trying to pull context. Now, that being said, they were also working on another bot, and this one is, the idea behind this is interesting, though I'm not sure how I entirely feel about it. But it was they've been rolling out a bot that will actually show up in people's streams. I think they've only done it on public streams on the public realms right now. It will show up on people's streams and it will chat with not only chat with the streamer, but chat with other people in the stream to try to encourage more conversation. And on the one hand, I'm like, that's an interesting idea, a fascinating idea. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know if I want artificial chat happening. Like, I kind of want people to just feel comfortable, you know, feel comfortable just lurking, you know? So I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm kind of on the fence about it. Where do you go to learn about mod powers? It's support.moonbeam.stream, I think is their FAQ. In the general chat there, I think I put a link to the FAQ site that they just put up. If you go there, I think it explains most of the stuff. Yes, the private realms are basically their version of Discord. The public realm doesn't have chat rooms. It just has one general chat room. It doesn't have individual ones. But the private ones have you can set up multiple chat rooms. You can set them up with different permissions, different visibility categories, stuff like that. It's their community feature. Essentially, yeah. Yeah. Essentially. Yeah. And then there's a so like when I'm in my stream, so I pop out the chat into a window. I have a mod queue that shows up. So any messages. So right now I've got the auto mod, essentially the Pixis moderation, set to like the lowest I could set it to. But even then, it'll occasionally catch a chat message, and it'll put it in the mod queue, and then you just have to, and then I have to go in there and say yes, allow this, or no, don't allow this, kind of thing. So I do have that one extra little thing there. Yeah, so I can pop out chat because I'm the one streaming, but I noticed that I don't think anyone else has that button, which is a little bit strange, because how do you get moderators to do, because that's the only thing that has the mod queue on it as far as I know. Yeah, what is this? Yeah. Actually, something got caught in the queue there. I just looked at my moderation tab, and your one of your messages was in there. It's interesting. But yeah, there is a moderation, like I see a moderation tab on my stream button, which is the little camera icon on the left, but I don't know how that works. I'm not even sure how that works for like moderators and stuff. Got labeled as disrespectful. Yeah. Still says 1 in the moderation queue. What did I? No, okay, I think that's just a bug. It's funny. Hey, Outlaw, welcome on in. How are you doing? Just like that one. Yeah, it's I did accept one. One of them did get caught in the queue, and I accepted that one. Yeah, it's a little bit. I have it, like I said, I have it set to like the lowest setting, but even then, it occasionally catches very innocuous things. Um, I don't think I could turn it off entirely, which would be ideal. Because I mean, that would kind of be the antithesis of what they're trying to do. So I can see why they don't let me turn it off entirely, but at the same time, yeah, I don't. We'll have to figure out how the moderation stuff works over there because I don't understand all of it yet either. Let's give you something to learn about a bit. Hey, no problem, Duras. No problem whatsoever. I'm all for brain rot. You know that. And yes, brain rot your realm is apparently a positive thing. Had better days. How am I? I'm doing good, Ella. I'm doing good. I saw in Discord that you had a rough day yesterday, and um, man, I hope you can get that stuff sorted out with your back, because back pain is one of those things that just like, I mean, there's a lot of different pains that can destroy your life, but like back pain is probably the worst one because you can't get away from it. Like you can't elevate your back. You know what I mean? Like it's just ugh. Yeah, it's but I'm doing okay. I'm fine. I have no complaints. Um, um, things are going well, and temperatures all over the place here. Just turn the heat back on after having it off for a week. At some point, I had to acknowledge that I was being that old man, being like, "You're heating the damn neighbors' houses at this point." Like it got chilly to the point where I was like, "Okay, I gotta turn it back on again." Yeah, Doris Outlaw is also a streamer. Very cool dude. So you may want to, if you're not already following him, go follow him because he is pretty awesome, pretty darn awesome. Yeah. So, but otherwise, I'm cool. I'm doing all right. Um, it's weird. My I think all the weight loss and stuff I've done and all the exercise I've done is actually starting to have a knock-on effect now. Like my legs aren't getting as swollen as they were. I've been wearing my compression socks, and my compression socks haven't been like as tight as they've been before, previously. So I think good stuff is happening there. And then I went and we had a couple like 70-degree days, and I put shorts on, and I'm like, wow, these shorts don't fit anymore. These shorts are too big. So so good things in general seem to be happening. I'm not a hard sell, sure. But yeah, good stuff. Just trying to like continue figuring out how to do game dev stuff here with good old Vulkan. Vulcan me ass up here. Alright, so mesh there. And then, so this is not really a transform model. This is more like I'm going to say prepare mesh. Because that's bothering me a little bit. And this will take, so I don't need to take the model data in because I have it, right? That's true. I still have that up here. Well, I have the mesh. This is transferring all the meshes over at once. Probably for efficiency, I would imagine. So, damn. Should I make this a... I feel like this needs to be something other than Vulcan mesh. Like, it needs to be like Vulcan mesh is, or mesh management. I'm gonna rename this because it's this whole thing just bothers me right now. Because I know every time I look at this, it's confusing me. Mesh. I don't want to call it manager. I'll just call it meshes. Vulcan meshes. And we'll take a list of meshes. Vulcan pinch, yeah. I feel like I need a Vulcan neck pinch just to figure out some of this stuff. It's really boggling my brain right now. And then I can say prepare meshes. I've got the meshes already. So I just need the command pool and the queue. I call it. I don't know what I call it. I guess I called it Vulcan Q. Did I call it Vulcan Graphics Q or Vulcan Presentation Q? I think I called it Vulcan. graphics queue. What did they call it? Oh, actually, I don't. It doesn't matter. I can just use the base queue, right? Base device queue. Here we go. That works. And it doesn't matter as long as it has the functions I need. Reference for the other one. I just noticed your positive comment over there on Moonbeam. and their AI agrees. No, this is IntelliJ, which I have a love-hate relationship with. I've been using IntelliJ at work. They didn't force us to switch over, but it kind of became inevitable that we had to switch over because I like the clips better, but they're insisting that we use AI completion, code completion for things, and it just works better in like they have it all set up in IntelliJ for JetBrains and all that stuff, the licensing for it and everything. So I kind of just switched over because of that, and so I was using Eclipse here for these projects, but the dark mode got messed up and I couldn't read anything. Like somehow, some way I did an update and then the dark mode just got all wonky. And I was like, screw it, I'll just switch over to IntelliJ for everything, even though I'm not a huge fan. Yeah, it looks very similar to VS Code. Which, honestly, I mean, for Java stuff, IntelliJ is better than VS Code. I mean, I've tried some Java stuff in VS Code, but IntelliJ is just better with its integrations. With servers and stuff, but it's and I found a dark mode on IntelliJ that is close to the one on Eclipse, but not quite as good as the one on Eclipse. Like this is supposed to be the Eclipse dark mode equivalent in IntelliJ, but it's really not. For some reason, the colors that Eclipse uses in dark mode are just better on the eyes than these are. These tend to like be very harsh. You know, the oranges and the grays, and then sometimes you just come across things like variable names that are just really hard to see. Sometimes you know, you kind of have to squint a little bit. But I've also for stream purposes I've made the text a little bit bigger, which actually I'm now thinking I should probably do on my work laptop too. I should probably just make the text bigger because I could sit here without my glasses on and read stuff without having to squint. So maybe it's time to embrace my Embrace my age. Yeah. Like I did this just so that the stream could be able to read stuff a little bit easier, but now I'm like, maybe I should just do this for myself too. I'll tell you what though. I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous. Like I've been doing a lot of give us 10% more zoom on my browser. Yeah, I should. Um, the I've been playing a lot of Elite Dangerous, and I've been doing exobiology and stuff. And there's something about that just like it causes, like I have to wear my blue blockers when I do it because it just destroys my eyes and it makes it so I just have a headache. And I don't know why, because obviously you got to pick you're trying to pick things out. Oh, there's a spot over there that I need to go examine and all that stuff. So that alone makes it difficult, but I don't know if it's just like the color contrast or something else, but it just absolutely destroys my eyes after like an hour or so. And I just end up getting headaches and stuff. So I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. I've tried, like, the blue blockers seem to help a little bit. But even those can't really solve it after a while. So I don't know. That's the only game that I really have that particular issue with too. I don't know if it's just, maybe I need to adjust the sharpness or something. Maybe if I made it a little bit softer, it would help. I don't know. I don't know. Don't know. So what do we have here? So I have to, okay, that's Q. I don't need that. So I'm looking at Vulkan model list, array list. I don't need to do that. Command pool, get device. Buffer, new command buffer. Vulkan buffer, staging buffer lists. What is the staging? Staging buffer list, add vertices buffer, indices buffers. What do we do with the staging buffer lists? Where does that get used again? Oh, I see. We do it. They do it. They have a staging buffer list that they can call cleanup on those buffers. Which are just the source buffers. Huh. I mean, it makes sense that you'd clean up the source buffers because you don't need them anymore. Because we're creating destination buffers. Huh. Okay. I mean, sure. It seems like a... I guess I... Well, okay, because we don't do... I was trying to figure out why you would defer doing that to the end. And now I'm realizing, like, they're recording the command. The command hasn't run yet. So recording the command, and then... down here, they're actually running the command. And then they're cleaning up. Okay. Because everything's still in the source buffers here. All we're doing is recording a command to copy them over to the destination buffers in the GPU. And then this actually runs it. And then we're cleaning it. Okay. And then we're cleaning up afterwards. Alright, alright. I'm trying to figure out their thought process behind this. So... in Vulkan model lists, Vulkan model lists, Vulkan mesh list. Where is this used again? Oh, we're adding model data to it. Adding model data to it. It's a local, and then we're returning it. God, I hate the way they've done this. Doing all that, and then we're returning it, and then... yeah. I don't... all we're doing is adding that to it. Yeah, I think I'm just going to restructure that. I don't know that I need to return anything from this method. I'm definitely not going to make it static. Because all this is really going to do is... mesh. This is driving me nuts. Here meshes. But they're doing one. They have a list of model. They have a list of essentially meshes that they're doing. They're adding them to a list of Vulkan meshes inside this model. And then they're returning a list of models, which is confusing as all hell. How do I want to model this? I have So I want to take in a list of meshes and transform them into Vulkan meshes. This will be called from a Vulkan model. Class. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense because then you need a list of vertex buffers and index buffers for each mesh. This is so confusing the way they have this. This is what I have, right? I've got a model that has a list of meshes and a list of materials, which themselves have a reference to whatever textures go with that material. And then ultimately we'll have an entity that maps one-to-one to a model. The meshes are animation frames, we'll say. The material is different material properties for the model, so we can change those around. Whatever materials are loaded in from the model object file. And then those have indexes into a texture cache, which is all well and good. So then we got to take those after they're, so at this point, those things are loaded up from a file. So now I got to translate that data to something that Vulkan drivers understand, and then copy them into, write the commands that will copy them into the GPU so that they can be loaded into a scene. So to that end, the create index buffer and the create vertex buffer work on one mesh at a time. We have a list of meshes. These are private methods. They'll get called in a loop. Well and good. Record transfer command, also called in a loop, because that's actually telling the driver, here's how to copy this stuff over from the source buffer to the destination buffer. So source buffer being CPU memory or main memory, destination buffer being GPU memory. I think I've got that part in my head. So this prepare meshes, or whatever I'm going to call this method, takes the command pool, which is the pool of commands that are going to be run by the GPU, and whatever logical device they're going to work on. So whatever graphics card we've picked. Graphics device, whatever. Okay. So given that, this method should go over all of the list of meshes that have been put into this object and write and execute the commands to get them copied over. And then once that is done, we need to store the prepared meshes where each one has a reference to the destination buffer, the destination, the vertex buffer and the index buffer. We need to keep those around so that we can call cleanup on them when it becomes necessary to do so. So that's this Vulkan mesh that they're holding around. Vulkan mesh, they have a list of them for this particular model. So I've got a mismatch of under normal circumstances, this would be operating on one mesh. You pass a mesh in, it would do its stuff for that mesh, record the command, blah, blah, blah. The way they have it is that it's working on all the meshes at once. Because they're doing a model object. So the question is, how do I preserve that particular optimization, which I'm guessing is some kind of optimization. So that would mean that I would operate on just one mesh at a time. The model would call this method for all the meshes that it has loaded. The tricky part is the actual recording of the command. Because they do a begin recording and an end recording in here, and then record the transfer commands. But really, I would need to pull this begin recording out into the Vulkan model. Pull that and that out, and the loop, the outer part of the loop out into the model, call the meshes stuff, have them record their transfer commands, then end the recording in the Vulkan model, and then do the fence stuff and the queue submit and the cleanups. This guy is going to be the pain in the ass because he's got the vertex and index buffers in him, which are per mesh. So in reality, but that being said, I can record these into a variable and then have another method that just does cleanup on that, and then just call the cleanup in a loop for that kind of thing. And that eventually gets us back to something similar to what they're doing, but something that in theory makes more sense to me. Very much in theory. And it's anyone else would have just went through and did this and be already on to the next chapter by now. But I'm like spending a ton of time on this, but it's just because number one, I want to learn this. And that's the only way I know how to learn is to do it. But number two, there's a level of this book has the same problem that a lot of books have, when a lot of coding books, where there's a level of just get her done that leaves a mess in its wake, right? Like the code examples you find in a book like this generally are not the kind of code examples you would find in the wild, because they're not necessarily maintainable, or they don't necessarily make sense outside of the like after you've, when you've pulled them out of the context of the chapter that they're in. And that's why I'm spending so much time on this one effing method here. Is that the way to make dinner? Everybody been listening? Oh yeah, no problem. No problem whatsoever. I'm actually engaging with some critical thought, not just blindly doing things. How dare me? I know, right? I know. It's funny too, because I just noticed, so on Blue Sky earlier today, someone posted in the GameDev hashtag, that's the comment. Someone posted in the GameDev like hashtag thing, like something to the effect of, how do you convey to people that you're doing things for the fun of it, not because you want to make money off of it? And I feel very much the same way with this. It's like a lot of people come in and they're like, well, what kind of game are you making, and what, and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's a space game, but I'm not really, I'm not sweating it, because I'm just doing it because I just want to learn. So at the end of all this, I might spend 2 years on something and have nothing to show for it, but at least I've learned something. And I'm feeling like that right now, where it's like I want to be able to, I want to make progress, I want to show something on the screen, but at the same time, my point is to try to learn something. It's like, yeah, because invariably you get people that are like, well, just write it in C, or why, just use Unreal Engine or something. I'm like, well, yeah, if I was if I was serious about making a game, yeah, I would just pick up Godot or pick up Unreal Engine and tool around in there. But like, I wouldn't necessarily learn anything. I mean, I would learn how those tools work in theory, um, but I wouldn't learn what I'm learning now, which is all the stuff going on under the covers. You know, I certainly would still have a mismatch in my brain about how Vulkan works versus OpenGL. Like I thought, like I always knew Vulkan was like super awesome in how it does, performance and stuff. I didn't realize that it sacrificed everything. It sacrificed clarity in order to make performance. Now I'm realizing, like, oh my god, it's a huge bear of an API because they didn't want to. It feels like they didn't want to actually model an API. They just wanted to throw something out there and say, one thing that handles everything, and it's not the easiest thing to work with. But yeah, what can I say? What can I say? I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I'm just dealing with it. And it, for all the bitching I do, it serves its purpose. So I can't fault it for being bad. It just it does what it works. It works well. It's just a real bitch to work with. It's just an absolute nightmare to work with. Or at least a nightmare to learn. I mean, I'm sure someone else who's worked with it before for years, this is nothing. This is child's play. But someone trying to learn it using online resources, oof, oof. So this will be, so I get the device. Wait, is that the only thing coming out of the command pool is the device? That doesn't seem correct. Oh, it's not. No, we're using that for the command buffer. I'm like, it's gotta be more than just that. Because you would just pass the device in. I see, we're passing the device into there, the logical device into there. Okay. Okay, so I gotta fix this up. So this is going to be one-to-one with a mesh. And this is going to go back to being... You bastards. It's going to go back to being that. I need to simplify this because it's driving me up a wall, and I don't like the way they have it. And the way they have it might make perfect sense to most people. It's not making sense to me. So I need to make something that makes sense to me. So then we've got our vertex and our index buffer there. So then this takes a command pool, a queue, and we already have the mesh that we're going to work on. So we want to do prepare mesh. Okay, and then we need command buffer. Takes the pool and then true. And then we need the device and the list of Vulkan buffers. Okay, command buffer. See, this is doing the command buffer begin recording and recording. Shit. So that would be damn it. Because the record commands take the command buffer and do the thing, and I can't do the thing without beginning recording. What does, so this does buffer copy region, transfer buffers. Transfer buffers. Okay, how do I model this? Transfer buffers is for text buffers, index buffers. So what I do here then, okay. Let's tease these apart. We'll leave this here because it's generic, but I'm going to put a private void record transfer commands. Vulkan command buffer. And then this will call record transfer command for vertex buffer. It's not the right one though. Transfer buffers. Indices buffers, indices buffers. Create vertices buffers, create indices buffers. So create vertices buffers, create indices buffers. So what I could do, I gotta restructure this. So what I want is, how do I want to do this? So the vertex buffer and the index buffer. Do private transfer buffers. Okay. So this becomes void, and then do that. Make those not return anything. If a Moonbeam tab open, mute it, and then swap to another tab, it unmutes. Yeah, what's weird too is that I think it mutes by default as well. So every time I go to a stream for the first time, I have to unmute. So I think there's some kind of some weirdness going on there too. I've actually resorted to muting tabs themselves now, because I know, like, over on Twitch, like a lot of times when I'll have like multiple tabs open of different Twitch streamers going at the same time, and sometimes I'm listening to all of them at different volume levels. But sometimes I just want one or two, and I want to just support the others. So I've been muting the tab itself, not the stream, because I know Twitch will count it against you. Won't count you as a viewer if you mute the stream. But I think, I'm not sure, but I think if you mute the tab, you still count it as a viewer on the stream. So I've been just muting tabs now instead of doing that. So we'll see. Tab mutes work, yeah. Yeah. And then I also had to switch over, at least on Chrome on Windows 11 here, on my streaming box, I had to switch over to, I was using a Twitch ad blocker, which technically blocks the ad, but doesn't. In other words, like the streamer still gets credit for the ad playing. It's just that it mutes the script that I run mutes the ad and then shows the small box as the main thing. So you get like a 480p or 360p resolution thing while the ad's going on, but you can still watch and listen to the stream. And I was using it as there's a one that you can use as a plug-in to uBlock Origin, but that just suddenly last couple days stopped working and they haven't updated it, so I had to switch over and download Tamper Monkey and use the like user script version of it, and that seems to be working now. So that's another thing. I've been using that for a while because, you know, technically as far as Twitch is concerned, yeah, it still runs, but and the streamer still gets paid for it, but I don't have to listen to it. I can just enjoy an uninterrupted stream for a change, which is, you have uBlock, it stopped working. So it's still working on my Windows 10 Brave browser, but for some reason on Windows 11 Chrome, the latest one, it's not blocking all the ads anymore. Like, it's blocking some of them, but not all of them. So I just last night swapped it over to using a Tamper Monkey script. You're in Firefox? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, I still can't. I haven't used Firefox in forever. The Bazite Linux box I've been playing games on has Firefox on it, and I still don't use it. I've been using whatchamacallit, Thorium. Actually, that's true. It's not Chrome, it's Thorium on Windows 11 that stopped working for some reason. Because I think uBlock stopped working in Chrome because of the Google's changes, but in Thorium it was still working because they're a fork of Chromium. So something to that effect. But yeah. Okay, so that gets us those, which then means we'll have to fix our cleanup here. Which I think I can just do. I can just make a cleanup here. Okay. You got through the FAQ. Didn't see anything about modding in there. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it works. Um, Fully. I mean, it might still be geared towards modding the chat rooms and not towards modding the stream. But I am not sure. You would think it would allow you to mod the streams too, but I don't know. I'll have to look further into it myself because I haven't really. I've been trying to gather as much information as I can, but it's like sometimes you have to go through an hour video of them chatting in order to get like bits of information. Like they don't really have a good spot where they're putting a lot of good information. They have, I mean, there's the Moonbeam Realm, which has like support channels and stuff in there. So there might be stuff in there, but then you have to like troll through a whole bunch of chat messages to try to find something and all that stuff. Added some more bots to Discord. What a pain. Yeah, I don't know. I have not. I mean, I have a Discord, but I have not done much at all with it in forever. Like I have something that will auto post over there when I go live, but like, you know, it's such a pain because everything that's over there requires another website to go to in order to set up the bot and everything. It's just, you know. You can see it on your unreads, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I did see a thing that said that so there's a rumor that Discord's going to try to go public. They've been shopping around to banks. But what I find more interesting is they have apparently they are they have some kind of SDK that they've worked on, and a few games have started using it, where they are providing the multiplayer connectivity for like voice chat and text chat for several games now. Obviously multiplayer games, which honestly is something they should have done a long time ago. I'm surprised it's taken them this long to get around to doing that because they've always been angled towards gamers. But if Moonbeam could do something like that, like in the future, like get some hooks, get some integrations for games that allow where games can kind of participate in the chat rooms and all that stuff, and or use them for their voice chat back end and stuff like that. I mean, that's like that seems pretty huge. It'd be a really interesting idea. I mean, it's early for that for them, but you know, Discord being who they are, they're going to embed themselves pretty deeply. You know, if somebody doesn't step up and start to try to eat their lunch a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, Discord has also got that problem of they've never been profitable, right? They've been completely dependent on VC money to the tune of like, I want to say like 14 $14 million. I think it's more than that. $40 million, something like that. Like I think they've had 14 different funding rounds. Maybe that's the number 14 I was thinking of, where they've raised money to stay afloat, and it's like it's just funny to see. It's such a typical Silicon Valley thing, right? Where it's like you've got this company that is completely that has never turned a profit for all these years and is ubiquitous in, has basically cornered the market that it's in, the niche that it's in, and yet they have never been able to figure out how to turn a profit from it. Yeah, they did turn down Microsoft's bid for them, which, I mean, let's be honest, I would have turned down Microsoft too, because when it comes to social collaboration, Microsoft has sucked pretty bad in that. As someone who uses Teams every freaking day for work, Microsoft ain't got a single effing clue how to do any kind of collaboration software. Period. End of story. Like, they just don't. So on the one hand, yeah, you would have had a bunch of FU money and just gone off and done something. On the other hand, it would have been the complete death of Discord. Like, that would have just died instantly. So I can kind of see it from the perspective of they knew they had something and they weren't willing to let it die yet, and it's worked out well for them, right? Because they're valued at like $14 billion or something right now. For what that's worth. I mean, valuations are usually, for tech companies, are usually way unrealistic, but it was a gamble that paid off. It wasn't an AOL gamble. It wasn't a Yahoo gamble. It was a good gamble. So it's, yeah, who knows? That being said, if they actually do go public, oh boy, is the enshittification going to happen. It's like that service is going to become so shitty. I mean, not that it's the greatest around anyway, but it's going to become so shitty that it's probably going to become unusable. And Revolt, as good as Revolt is, it's got a long, long way to go before it could even begin to compete. Yeah, they trashed the hell out of Mixer, exactly. And that's the thing, right? It's like there's something about, and this is what I find funny about Microsoft. There's something about certain industries or certain sub genres that they just cannot understand. Like Windows Phone. Windows Phone, like, was the granddaddy of them all. And if they had done that well, Android might not have ever been able to get a foothold, right? Because businesses would have jumped all the hell over that. Now, iPhone still would have gotten it because, the Apple fanboys are who they are. But, Android may never have been able to get any kind of market share, right? And Google being who they are, they would have ditched Android years ago, if not for the fact that, it's still it's giving Apple a black eye. At this point, I think Google hangs on to Android just out of spite more than out of any kind of direction. Um, but yeah, Microsoft was just clueless when it came to that, and then when it came to the live streaming space, Microsoft had no clue how to deal with live streaming. All they saw was a technology that they could use for business communications. And so they took all that technology from Mixer and they just said, well, we'll just put this into Teams, or we'll put this into Skype. And it's like you had something, you didn't even know what you had. You had something fantastic and you just didn't realize it. And it would have been the same way with Discord. They would have just rolled that into one of their business units and completely destroyed Discord, because they don't understand what they have. I'm surprised that they do as well as they do with gaming, right? I think if not for Phil Spencer, Microsoft would never have made it in the gaming space either. Not that Phil Spencer's particularly any good at what he does, but it's just I think the thing that Phil Spencer managed to do was to carve out something in Microsoft. I think that's more of the problem that Microsoft has, is that they need people who can carve out sub-units, sub-businesses out of Microsoft and get the buy-in so that they can have some kind of autonomy to do what they need to do. Because without that, Microsoft will just roll them up into, into some business unit, and then it'll be completely shitified in, 2 years' time, Yeah, exactly. He has a clue and he understands gaming to some degree. Exactly. And that's good. But I also think the most important thing about him is that he somehow managed to get Microsoft to, by and large, leave him alone and let him do what he needed to do, right? And be like, look, we don't need a business reason for what we're doing. We'll make money. Just let us cook, And I think that's the thing that Microsoft isn't able to do a lot of. Like in Google, pretty much anybody and their grandmother can carve out something. The problem is that person then gets promoted somewhere else, and then that thing dies, and then and like a year later, Google's like, yeah, whatever, we don't need this. And, everybody is up in arms. Right? Apple knows how to manage a community. Yes. Although I get the feeling we're starting to see how do I want to phrase this? I'm getting the feeling we're starting to see the nomad years of Apple, right? Where it's like, or I guess a better example would be like, we're starting to see the Tesla years of Apple, right? Where they're kind of out of ideas. They don't have any real new models. They don't have any real new ideas. They're just selling the same thing over and over and over again. And to be fair to Apple, it's working out pretty well, and it has worked out pretty well over the last couple iterations of the iPhone and of the Mac, and they did have some AI, some chipset thing going on. So they have still made some progress there, but I don't gather that they've had any kind of like, they haven't had another iPod, right? They haven't had another iPhone. They haven't had anything to really spur interest from the normies, to use the Gen Z term, you know? We're far removed from the think different days. Exactly. And I think that's starting to rear its ugly head. Like, I don't think they have the there's some kind of term for it, but I don't think they have the thought leadership, I guess, that they once had. They don't have quite the appetite for experimentation that they once had. If anything, the experimentation they're doing is removing stuff that people actually like, you know, headphone jacks and stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't call that experimentation. I'd call that cost cutting, right? It's like we experimented in cost cutting. Apparently nobody liked it, but oh well. You know? And I think that's the other part of it is, but I blame a lot of that. I blame on Wall Street too. Like, I think the worst thing that tech companies can do is go public anymore, because it forces you to stop innovating. Because innovation costs money, it costs time, it doesn't always result in a product, and Wall Street is having none of that. None of that at all. And so it's just like, you just kind of have to stay private, I feel like. Which in and of itself is difficult, because then you have to actually have to make a profit. You know? Does not always result in short-term profit. Yeah. I'm not saying across the board going public is bad. But from what I've seen, at least in the technology realm, I have not seen a lot of good come from it. Maybe in the short term there were some good, but in the long term they all end up just the one exception to that probably is Google. But Google has got some kind of, I don't know what to call it, like some kind of stoner effect going on, where they have managed somehow to convince everyone that they are market leaders, and yet they have no actual coherent direction. Like, they just kind of, like, at random they'll release things and you go, what the hell is this, and why the hell would I want this? And then 2 years later it disappears, and then eventually they'll release something that everybody wants and everybody thinks is great, and then they'll still get rid of it. It's like everybody's a stoner or something. They're like, you know, somebody had a little too much of the wacky tobacco at one point and thought it was great, and then suddenly, you know, 2 years later they're like, why did we do this again? Google is much more hip edibles. Those are some damn strong edibles. Hey, Deedway, welcome on in. You're right though. You're right though. They're definitely not smoking. They're definitely hitting up the edibles. uh, but I mean, it's got to be something like that. That's all I can think. Um, okay, so those are there. Got some timing, no edibles here. Well, I'll see now. I mean, that just means you're not a very good Google engineer then, or product manager, really. Never inhaled. uh, that. Oh, that second degree high is strong. uh, okay, so this will then be. So command buffer, I don't. So really, I should pass. I should really just pass the command buffer in. I don't need the pool for anything, do I? Just for the device, but I won't need that either. So I'm going to pass the command buffer in instead of the command pool. Play with AI at all? No, not really. I mean, well, I've been using a little bit of AI here and there for coding stuff. Like I've been using Claude a little bit for coding tasks. Or at least to give me ideas on how to code some things, but I usually code it. I usually then write the code myself and not just copy paste it. But yeah, I haven't gone much deeper than any of that. It's just it works for. It's okay. It's I saw a lot of people were doing vibe coding now, and I don't think we're there yet. I don't think we'll be there until another 10 years probably. Although it really depends on what language you're coding in. Like I think there's some languages that are relatively that are small enough that I think AI can deal with them really well, like CSS, JavaScript, Lua a little bit. I think it can kind of deal with those a little bit better. Even Python to an extent, it can kind of deal with those languages better than some of the older ones. So we have staging buffers here. So if I want to do that, so I just do begin recording for what was passed in. Oh, no. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do begin recording here because I only want to call that once. So really all I need to do here is create the buffers with the mesh data, which do they have to be inside of a well, they need a device to create it with. So that's fine. We'll call those. And then source buffer. And then what I can do is public void cleanup source buffers. Say index buffer there. I think it's getting better with the reasoning models. I was using Python, now playing a bit with a bit of Java with it. Yeah, it's and again, it depends on the model. Like I find I haven't used any. I've heard that there's some other model out there. I can't think of the name of it. But I like Claude. Anthropic's Claude has been really good. That I find of all the ones that I've used, but I haven't used all of them. There's other ones out there I think that might even be a little bit better. But yeah, for like Java tests, like Claude has been surprisingly good, like far and away better than GPT-4. So I've found that to be pretty good on tasks. It still has that nasty like hallucination problem where it'll tell you go use this method and that method doesn't even exist in a library. But you know, I think that's just going to happen a lot with things. So it's been good from that perspective. I use it like at work. I'll use it for relatively mundane things like you know, we have a new database table, say, and I'll say, here's the columns of this database table, write me a you know a DAO class to access it with, and it does a pretty decent job of it. Like I still have to tweak a few things here and there, but it mostly does it right and has all the correct data types and you know, the query methods you would expect it to have and stuff like that. So it, you know, it can work if it's got like especially if it's got something that is that has a lot of Stack Overflow stuff, you know, a lot of questions, a lot of answers about it. It's when you start to get off the beaten path a little bit. Like I was using it a little bit to help me with this learning gaming development here, with like the OpenGL stuff, and it was okay, but it also really wasn't helping all that much. And then I asked it about, the Vulkan development that I'm doing now, and it knew nothing. Like, it was just like, it had no idea how to do anything. So it's really kind of when you start getting it like deeper into like the niche areas, it starts having a lot of problems. But when you stick to things that are like general errors that people run into a lot, or general questions that people have had a lot of, it tends to do better with it, from what I've seen. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there with that, but it would be interesting. Again, I view it as just another tool in the toolbox. I see too many of these posts. Like every month, I see another post that's like, I stopped using AI coding because I was, I was forgetting how to code. It's like, well, first of all, stop being a dumbass. Right? And second of all, if you were learning how to if you were losing the ability to learn how to code, quote unquote, perhaps you don't actually enjoy coding in the first place. Right? Because think about it. It's like saying I forgot how to drive a car because the car was driving itself, kind of thing. It's like, you probably didn't enjoy driving in the first place. So you were more than willing to let the car to forget that. You were more than willing to forget how to do it because you didn't enjoy it in the first place, right? But if it's something that you enjoy, then more than likely you're probably driving the car manually most of the time, and it just every so often when it's, you're just letting the AI do it, right? First of all, stop being a dumbass. Quoted a note. I mean, that's always step one, right? Stop being a dumbass. I feel like that's the step one of life, right? It's like after you reach a certain age, it's like, okay, now stop being a dumbass. Yeah, it's just it's like it should be the first instruction in any manual. But it feels like that sometimes. It feels like something shiny comes along and people are like, oh, I don't have to do anything anymore. I'll let this do everything for me. I'm like, well, if you're doing that, more than likely it's because you really didn't enjoy what you were doing. And so maybe your problem is not that AI is taking your job. Maybe your problem is that you don't like your job. Or you don't like what you're doing, right? Maybe that's the underlying problem. It's just, it's just the way it goes. You haven't reached that age yet. When it gets too complex or it doesn't have enough data on a subject, helps have that constant backlog of yeah. So the Deedway, that's what I kind of use it for. Like I use it as I used AI the same way I use Stack Overflow, right? Where it's like, I know I've done this thing before in the past. I don't remember how I did it, and there's probably a better way. I'm just going to go on Stack Overflow and see what, some answers on it and just kind of refresh my brain, right? The good thing about the AI is that it cuts out all of the passive aggressiveness that you get on a thread on Stack Overflow, right? You don't have to scroll down the thing going, with all the replies being like, well, why are you trying to even do that? You should be doing this other thing instead. It's like, dude, just shove off and either answer the question or shut the hell up. Like, stop asking people, well, why are you even trying to do that in the first place? Like, they're trying to. It's enough to know that they're trying to. Just answer their damn question. So it cuts through a lot of that bullshit, which is nice. But yeah, I use it the same way. It filters out all the, first of all, stop being a dumb arsehole. Well, while that is true, it also nothing annoys me more, because I've mentored programmers in the past, and nothing annoys me more than when they ask an innocent question and some bro comes by and is like, why do you even care, man? It's like that's not even, you're not even in the right ballpark. It's like, dude, just like, don't discourage them. Like, they just have a simple question. Just like, if you don't have an answer to their question, if the answer to their question is, do something completely different instead of like, if the answer to their question is, why are you even having that question? Then just like, go somewhere else. Go get a smoke. Go get an edible. And let them ask their question, right? Let people like answer the question that was asked, whether it was whether you think it was a stupid question or not, right? It's just like stop being dicks to each other. Like, these are ultimately your colleagues. They may not be your direct colleagues, but they are your virtual colleagues, right? And just like help them. Stop being an asshole. I know it's the internet. I know asking someone to stop being an asshole on the internet is an impossible chore, but like, let people explore the world. Help them explore the world. Don't shut them down because you think they have a stupid question, right? Like, you never have a person be that nice. Yeah. Well, what happens is sometimes sometimes AI will spit out an answer, and I'll look at it and I'll go, that doesn't make any sense. And then I'll really look at it and I'll be like sometimes it'll hallucinate and give me like a method that doesn't exist. And I'll go look up in the API and see that method doesn't exist. And what I'll do is I'll actually talk back to the AI. I'll be like, yeah, that method doesn't exist. Can you please try again? And it's funny to see how apologetic the AI is. It's like, oh yes, you're right, that doesn't exist. Let me try this again. And then like 9 times out of 10, it'll give you something that's actually more reasonable. But there's always that one time where it spits out another thing that is just completely off the wall. And then you get into this spiral of telling it off, and it keep coming up with something crazy, which is always kind of fun to see. But the whole time it's like being very cordial to you, which I can appreciate. Yeah. So it's not calling me a bad programmer. It's not calling me stupid. Yeah, exactly. Um, and one of the other things, some of my colleagues have been doing this, which I think is one, sort of brilliant, and two, kind of scary. Um, they'll actually put like a block of code in, or not a block of code, but they'll be in a file, and they'll have their cursor in a method, and they'll just open up the AI thing, and they'll just say, how can I make this method perform better, just to see what it spits out. And sometimes it comes up with some interesting results. A lot of times it comes up with something that's just completely crazy and is not any better. But sometimes it'll come up with something that's pretty darn interesting. You're like, well, that's a different way of looking at it, you know? So I've heard of them doing that occasionally, which I am all for, because I've always been of the opinion that there should be no code, as little code as possible in your system that is growing moss, right? You should always be looking at the old code in your system and seeing if there's ways of improving it. Even if it's something that is really simple and really, has been there forever, you always should be trying to improve it, because you never know, especially something that's been there for years, because, man, have there been times when we've been like, not necessarily in this job, but in previous jobs, where we've just been bitten in the ass by code that was written 7-8 years ago and never touched again. And then all of a sudden it's like, you update your JDK or something, and all of a sudden it's just giving you nothing but issues, right? Something using methods or libraries are going to be deprecated. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I'm big on like keeping us updated. Maybe not on the bleeding edge, but keeping us at least updated enough of all our libraries so that we're not so far behind that it becomes a huge undertaking to get us to the latest stuff. Like, I mean, we just went to Java 21, and I think we're the first ones in the whole company to go to Java 21. A lot of them are still like, there might even be some that are still on Java 8. I think everyone was trying to push to Java 11, but I was like, why stop there? Like, let's like go to 17. And so we went right to 17, and then we just recently have gone to 21, and we're not using all the syntactic sugar yet that came in 21, but we're also still on the free support tier, right? Like, those guys, they have to pay for support if they want to get support for JDK and stuff like that, because they're so out of date and out of whack. And in fairness to them, they probably, I don't know for sure, but they probably have a lot of code that's so old that they haven't been updating, and libraries that are so old that they haven't been updating that they can't get to the newer versions of Java because of it. But it's like, it's all, you gotta take all of that into account. You gotta stay. That's, I've been trying to emphasize that to everybody. It's like, you just gotta have. It sucks. Nobody wants to do it, but somebody on the team has got to, every release, just go through change logs of all the libraries and keep updating. You might have to spread your library updates across a couple versions, but at least you're updating, and just always be updating. Always. Don't let anything fall behind, because it will bite you in the ass, and it will make everything so much worse. Like in the short term, things are going to suck as you update things, but it saves you so much in the long term. The long term, it sucks worse. Yeah, it really does. Um, you know, I remember like, oh man, we had. So this was back at my first job, and nobody was really updating our libraries like they should have been. And this was my first job out of college, so I was like, I don't know if I have, I had that like, I don't know if I have the authority to do this stuff and whatnot. And one day I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna just start suggesting this, and I'm gonna start pushing for this, and we'll see what happens. And I did, and I was like, okay, let's get all these, I convinced them, like, let's get all these libraries updated and all that stuff. And so all the devs in the team worked on some piece of it, and they all had their changes. And we were using CVS at the time. So they got all of their changes in, and then I had to merge all those down. We were on a branch, and I had to merge them all down to the main branch. And good God, was that a rough merge? Because I was like, look, I'm the one that got you into this. I will do the merge for everybody. Just, let's just do this. And oof, that was rough. Because I mean, Git merges in Git now are almost a nothing burger, but CVS, man, oof, that was. I still to this day don't know how not only did I manage to do it, but I managed to do it right the first time, and I have no idea how I managed that to this day, because it was like hundreds and hundreds of lines of code that merged down. That was insanity. Like looking at the left side, right side diffs and trying to like figure out who changed what and what is the new change, what's the old change, and oof. Craziness. But anyway, what is it? 7:15. I actually want to do a stream later tonight of some games, or well, a game. I'll probably do Elite Dangerous, because I'm doing like exploration, exobiology stuff. I might do Elite Dangerous. I might do X4. Probably leaning towards Elite Dangerous. So I think I'm going to stop here. I have a better idea of where I want to go with this, I think, and how I want to separate this out. And actually, I'm going to put make this work on single mesh. Then Vulkan model loop over. So I know what I was trying to go for here. So yeah, I want to take a break now until maybe 9 p.m. my time. So it's like an hour and 45 minutes or so. And then I'll be back and I'll do probably some Elite Dangerous. It's kind of what I'm leaning towards. And just have like a cozy exobiology exploration stream. I'll be doing more Elite Dangerous tomorrow as well. And it'll still be I'm on a long exploration journey right now, so it's going to be a lot of exploration going on. But it'll be a nice chance to kind of like relax and play some music and just kind of, you know, chat a little bit. I guess. I mean, I don't know what I have to chat about, but you know, it'll be something. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop here. We'll come back to this next week, next Saturday. And hopefully, I know I didn't stream last night where I was going to stream our doing the streamer bot stuff, but I am hoping still to do some stuff with that off camera and get some of that going. Now that I'm not in crunch mode at work right now, my brain is kind of freed up a little bit more, so I'm hoping to get more coding stuff, get back to the coding streams again, Friday night, Saturday afternoon again. It's just that last night I was not feeling good. I like after work I took a nap and then I woke up and I was like, man, I'm feeling rough. I was like, you know what, let's not have a stream right now. But I'm doing better now. It's just like every so often I get like I just feel just terrible for no good reason. I don't know if I just like something just wasn't, you know, something I ate just wasn't sitting right or whatever. But yeah, it was just like but yeah, so I think that's the plan. So, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. Thank you for keeping me company and all of that jazz. If you happen to run across this on the YouTubes and you have a like and or a subscribe that you can spare, that would be awesome. It helps out tremendously. Like I said, I'll be back again in like an hour, almost 2 hours. So we'll be doing some games and stuff. And yeah, also I have a spot over on Moonbeam. Moonbeam is a new streaming service. It's a Discord-like streaming service. And I think they're doing some good stuff over there. So if you want to go take a look and just kind of dig around and see if you like what you see. Not a whole lot of streamers over there yet. Not a whole lot of viewers yet. The last count, they only had like 1,700, 1,800. But it's still, you know, they're still in open beta, and it's I'm kind of encouraged by this slow uptake, right? Because it's like they're not being overwhelmed with suggestions and things, so they're able to kind of stick more with their vision, whatever it happens to be. So something to keep an eye on at least. So that's going on, and yeah, that is it for me for right this moment. Is there anybody over on the Twitcheroonie? No, I'm not really seeing anybody. I'm seeing a lot of people I want to watch, but nothing in terms of coding or whatnot. So, all right. Yep, that's that, my friends. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you. Hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, see you, bye.
I suppose by the transitive property I too must be Vulcan as a motherfucker.